It turns out you can run DOS applications in a window on NextStep because of a product called SoftPC by Insignia. Now, I've learned just enough DOS to be able to demo this to you. It's quite intuitive. dir here. There we go. 1, 2, 3. And here's 1, 2, 3 running in a window. And I may be able to bring up a file here. /f. It's a wonderful user interface. R 1, 2, 3. There we go. So here's an example of a 1, 2, 3 worksheet running inside a PC window right alongside your good applications here. And again, you can cut and paste between these things and have as many PCs as you'd like. It's a true multitasking PC. You can do the same thing with X windows as well.
Alright, so what we just saw was some kind of ad, vintage Steve Jobs ad, where he is, taking shots at Microsoft and Windows. I don't really know what the product that he's advertising is. It looks like some kind of spreadsheet program or something. But what I thought was really interesting about that video is how he, first of all, references the X windowing system, which is a Linux application. It's how you do like graphical user environments in Linux, Xorg. But also how he is like comparing his application, a graphical application, to this DOS application, which is command line application, where you have to like type in like program codes or whatever, and get it to do something. Whereas with his application, you see the differences visually represented. With his spreadsheet, whatever, you get to like click, and there are graphs being displayed, and there are menus, and it's all a lot more intuitive than the like command line application that he uses, which he like kind of takes some pot shots at. But so I think it's really interesting that it was part of his plan, his design plan from the beginning, from the inception of Apple, of the entire like Macintosh ecosystem, to use new media and graphical environments to pacify its users, and to construct this mediating layer that alienates users from their software. So I mean, the DOS application is not like some great standard or something. Like, DOS is a Microsoft program, and like there's nothing good about it. It's not really like comparably better than Apple, but and maybe it's true that like that particular command line program didn't work very well, and it was not very well designed. Design, even in using command line programs, has improved a lot since the early 90s or 80s or whenever that video came out. But I think it's just really interesting. It's fascinating to me that I guess this is kind of like the whole ethos, the whole part of the whole mythology of Apple, is that they're a very design centric brand. So it should not be really remarkable that they're using these kind of mediating graphical environments in order to construct an additional layer of alienation between the user and the software that they are going to eventually come to depend on. They're not depending on it at the point that this video is made. Computer technology hadn't really taken off and achieved like the kind of pervasive status that it has now. But nowadays we all depend on computers, and most of us depend on these on learning to use these graphical environments that we have no control over, and they are mediating layers. We are not able to directly access or interact with the software or with the computer. So yeah, and another thing that I think is interesting is like, what kind of world would we be living in now if this had taken a different road? If Steve Jobs had not basically deadened the minds of a generation and like inculcated us all into using these kind of like visual, metaphoric, analogous kind of environments where you point and click, and it basically doesn't require any brain power, any thought. It just requires, getting used to using a mouse, for example. Or if we had, all grown up using command line programs from the beginning. If we were all, computer literate, but in a different way. Like kids today, they learn coding in school or whatever, but they don't really learn computer literacy because that's not part of the mainstream of, how computers are conceived. So yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Just I find it really interesting, a bit frightening how Steve Jobs is really controlling our mind and really set the table here for how like computers would function, how software would function, and use all of these like visual aspects, all of these mediating layers in order to like continually alienate us and like inhibit the possibility that computer users actually gain some computer literacy, some kind of like real meaningful access to the computer itself, rather than just depending on this mediating layer, which is again just another form of alienation. And I'll see you next time.